A drummer. Or even the real musician, he just makes a noise.
Hi guys, thank you for joining me on a very windy, blustery and rainy day here in the UK, in the southwest. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Good to see you. As ever, please like, subscribe and share. It really helps to make the channel grow and reach more people. And my numbers are coming up slowly but surely. So anything that you guys can do to help is always very well received. So what we're doing today? Well, today I've just actually got this out of the car, or parts of this drum kit out of the car. And I'm still getting messages from people who think it's like a round badge Gretsch kit. This one here, because it's in the white satin flame, which I love. It's an amazing finish. And I've fallen in love with that finish. Well, I've been in love with it since about 1996, I would say, when I was on tour with a band called Modern English. We just recorded an album called Everything's Mad, and we recorded most of that in New York, and we were off on tour. And I was in America for like 6 months, I think, or 4 months. I've got the tour schedule somewhere, and it was massive. And we flew occasionally, but most of it was driving in buses, and we were driving miles and miles. We all know how big America is, right? It's a huge country, and we were out and about for ages. There were bust ups, fallouts, all the things you can imagine on the way. It was like a 6-year period in 6 months, you know, crazy, but good fun. And I really enjoyed the band. I enjoyed playing the music. Every time we got to the song Melt With You, of course, the whole place would erupt, whatever city we were in. And yeah, because that was their big hit. So yeah, all good. So that was fun. But I went to a drum shop in Milwaukee called Faust Music, which is now gone, which Steve Maxwell has spoken about when Steve Maxwell did a little thing for my birthday for me a little while ago through my ex-wife, which was a very nice thing. And it's on YouTube somewhere. And he mentioned that he used to go to Faust Music and he knew the guy who owned it. And he was a funny guy. I've got pictures somewhere. I'll try and find them anyway. And I bought these 4 Slingerland snare drums that were like student models. And I've got 3 over there. I thought I had 4, but there's 3 anyway. I was going to buy one from Tristan, wasn't I, the other day when I did a clinic there with AJ Russell, but I didn't buy it in the end. He's got a lovely gold sparkle one, but I didn't buy it. But anyway, when I was there, I bought these 4 snares and I went on to sell them later on. But one of them was in this lovely white satin finish and satin flame, and it was just like, I love the sound of it. Very tactile, I know. I love the feel of it, but it was a great snare drum. And I've said before, I sold it, and stupidly I should never have done it, because out of the 4 it was the best. There was just something about it. It was just a great sounding drum. So I've always been in love with that. Then I got more in love with the jazz drummers, the romanticism of, you know, that as you get a little bit older and you move away from the rock and the funk drummers a little bit more and look again at jazz drummers. And of course, Max Roach. Max is an amazing player. I don't listen to a lot of Max. I've got a lot of vinyl though, and a lot of CDs, but I don't go there all of the time. And I wouldn't say he's my favorite drummer, but you know, he's certainly in here with his linear playing and his melodic approach. Just unbelievably good drummer. One of the most important drummers in the history of the world, I would say. You know, what he brought to the drum kit. So he used to use this color. Elvin Jones, who I love deeply, a love for his drumming and the music of John Coltrane as well. I was just playing some today, actually. I was just spinning Coltrane, which I bought in Tower Records or HMV, something like that, up in Edinburgh many years ago. So I'm looking in the wrong place. I should be looking here. And my copy of that, which is still knocking around, and a little bit battle worn here and there. And I was also spinning ballads as well, in a bit of a sort of contemplative mood at the moment, shall we say, for various reasons. But yeah, anyway. And he used this colour of drum kit, this white satin flame. And there's all sorts of different colours. Simon Wagstaff, who runs the Simon John's Vintage Drum Show, he's got, I don't know, is it like 30 kits, white satin flame, or am I just making that up? You might just have 30 vintage kits in general, probably more. But he's got all of the Slingerland made satin flame finishes, all of them, and they're gorgeous. And I did a a vintage drum show. Me and my friend Phil went up. Phil was sort of teching for me. We went up to do a show, and he offered me this 22 rack toms and a 12 to 13 and maybe a 14 floor or 16 floor Slingerland kit in white satin flame, and I didn't take it, and it was so cheap as well, and he sold it soon afterwards. That was my fault. So I've always been on the look for one, and all the Gretsch ones are really expensive. Tristan, a good friend of mine, has got one at the moment in Dramatic if you're interested. It's in a very rare finish. Is it Pink Rose or something it's called? Satin flame. You know, it looks beautiful. I've yet to see it. I must go and see it. I was going to see it last week. I've been so busy, I haven't had a chance to see it. But anyway, then this thing came up, and it ended up in my hands, and I'm now the keeper of this thing, which is amazing. And it's not a Gretsch kit. It's a Star. It's a Tama Star kit, which I've done a little bit of research, not loads. It was around in the 60s. I think this is 66 or 67. And it was them trying to get into the market of making drums, which of course in the late 60s, well, early 70s, and certainly by mid 70s with people like Billy Cobham playing them, and then later on Stuart Copeland and various other people playing Tama, they became massive, and rightly so. But this was the early stuff they were doing to try and compete. I guess with England we had Premier. In America you of course had the big hitters like Gretsch, Slingerland, Ludwig, and in Europe there was Sonor and Trixon and Ajax and whatever else, But anyway, this is the kit, because what I'm doing is I'm taking it out on jazz gigs, and I'm a bit OCD, and I don't really like things not being correct. I guess that's obvious, being OCD. But years ago I would never have put two different kits in the studio. I would, because no one's seeing it. It's being recorded. No one is visually checking it out apart from who's in the studio. But on a gig I would never normally take out a kit that was a mismatch of drums. Now I love it, and I'm taking out this kit Sadie, which is now this kit, which is basically the 18-inch DW bass drum. This is just a killer bass drum, and that's in Champagne. Oh no, that's in Broken Glass Sparkle. Sorry, Broken Glass Sparkle. And the 14x7 snare drum, I think it's maybe 7 1/4 snare drum, which is the beast. I use that on everything. And I was actually doing a jazz gig last Friday in Burford with the amazing Paul Jeffries on double bass, and the great John Taylor on piano. And John Taylor, I knew in Bristol 30 odd years ago, and we grew apart. I went and did Susie. He moved to London and was lecturing and playing loads. And anyway, I haven't seen him for 30 years, so he rocks up and we play a gig with the brilliant Paul Higgs on trumpet, and we were doing. He was a wonderful player and a really lovely guy. We were doing a tribute to Miles Davis, and that was great, playing some of that material, which most of us don't get a chance to play. So what? Obviously in all blues, but we were doing some other stuff which I wouldn't normally get to play. Certainly not of late, because I'm not doing so many jazz gigs. So that was fun. Yeah, so John Taylor, that was good. And what I was going to say was Paul Jeffries, the bass player at the end, even though it doesn't look like a jazz snare, because it's deep, right? But it tunes so well that it goes up high as well. It does all sorts of things. But when it's up high, it's not tinny. It's got this, the chest of a sound because of the depth, and equally when it goes low, it's actually got some top still, even though it's quite deep. It doesn't make sense. Defies logic, this snare drum. I think I've got a magic snare drum, basically. And even he, at the end of the gig, said, that snare drum, man, is killer. What a sound. So I've been using that, and I've been using these toms with it as this combination. And of course, when you're at the front, you don't see the colour necessarily of the bass drum, because if you're on the level, you don't see it. If I'm slightly lower, you'll see the colour of the sparkle. And if it's on a stage, you wouldn't see it necessarily unless you were sat around the side. So, of course, people think it's a DW kit or their Jazz Series kit or whatever. As I say, or they think it's a Gretsch Toms with DW bass drum. And it's neither of those things. So it's these Tama drums. I have talked about them before. But this is now, 3 or 4 months on since the last time I sort of spoke about them at any great length. And I've just found that even with the heads being what they are, which are still Remo ambassadors on the top. I think they're ambassadors. Oh, emperors, sorry. Emperors on the top. And it's just the normal white coated star heads on the bottom, which I guess are Remos. I don't know. I would like to change it at some point though. But just with those white star heads on the bottom and the emperors on the top, they're a little bit worn in. I'll show you. I've just got to know how they tune now, and I'm using them on all of my shorts and my reels that I'm posting on YouTube and then on my Instagram and stuff, and getting nice comments about that. And even there, people are saying, "What is that kit? What are those toms?" And it's just started to. I mean, I'm not, as and when I go back touring with the artists I work with or recording with them, then I will go back to a DW setup or a vintage kit or all of this drum kit with the bass drum as well, if that's what they want. But for now, I'm happy to go out with this sort of Frankenstein of a kit that it just sounds brilliant. And I've got to say, it's a bit anarchy this, but here's the 12-inch tom. There's the badge star. So what does it say? It says, "Finest quality, made in Japan," which of course is one of my favorite Deep Purple albums, made in Japan. Yeah, and this isn't completely clean. It's got marks. It's been loved. It's been used. I've got no issue with that. Some of these things might come off if I, worked hard enough and checked out and asked Tristan what I could use. And there's this brilliant damper. So chunky. Works really well. It's amazing. And so, there's a bit of sort of corrosion or whatever on these lugs and stuff, but they all tune okay. It's absolutely fine. But there's just something about the look and the feel of this drum that when I'm gigging, and I'm sort of, drummers, come on, help me out here. When you're gigging sometimes and you're looking at the drum kit or the cymbals, whatever it is, you can't wait to play again, or the feel of the sticks, whatever it might be. Just makes you feel good when you play. And when I'm sort of backstage, I'm looking through the stage door at it, or whatever gig I'm on, a pub gig, and I'm at the bar looking at the drums up there thinking, I can't wait to play that 12-inch tom and 14-inch floor tom. I can't wait to get up there and hear that authentic jazzy kind of sound, which I could get this sort of sound from my 12 or 13 DW, but of course my DWs are deeper. This is a shallow sort of jazz 12 by 8 or whatever, and I haven't got that in DW, and it just sounds so good. And I was watching the Freedom Now Suite by Max Roach. There's some Belgian TV appearance when he's on there with Abby Lincoln and the band doing the music, and it's been colorized, and he's got the Gretsch kit but in this color. And when I see Elvin playing a kit this colour with Coltrane, it just makes me want to play drums. It makes me want to go through my Gretsch book down here, by Rob Cook. I love that book, and go through and see all the satin flame finishes. I love the sparkles, but the satin flame. And I tried to order a DW one, and I contacted them and said, look, I would love to have a DW in that finish. He said, you're just out of luck, man, because we stopped using it about 6 months ago. This is before COVID. And it was just, it was frustrating. It was really sad because I really wanted a DW in these jazz sizes in the jazz series. But I've got this, and it's wicked. And this is how the heads are looking. They're nicely worn in. Some moon gel and various bits here, whether in the studio or in a rehearsal or a gig with it. I don't think I've actually recorded with this properly, apart from my reels and shorts. I don't think I've actually recorded a track with this. And there's the star head. It's not a Remo actually by the look of it. It's just a cheap white head. And an awful emblem. An awful logo, right? Wasn't great. I had to take it off the bass drum because it just looked like it was a kid's drum kit. You're a star! It's all a bit embarrassing, but yeah, I just look at that finish and I just romanticize over Max Roach, 50s, early 60s jazz drummers. That sound, guys wearing suits with the sharp ties, all that look, like the cover of Round About Midnight, Miles Davis, Round Midnight. If you know the album, when they're under that orange light, and he's there with his trumpet and his shades on, it's so cool. And yeah, I look down at this drum, it just makes me want to play drums. And here's the floor tom, 14 by 14. Lovely. Jazzy, baby. That's what the head's looking like. Well worn in. Oh, and this one is an ambassador. That other one was an emperor. This is an ambassador. And of course on the bottom we've got the horrible cheapy one here. And oh yes, I've actually put in some cotton wool buds and some probably toilet paper actually in the bottom to act as like, can you see it? Oh, I don't think you can. To act as a kind of damper. Oh, there it is. And it works really well as a natural damper. It kind of, you know, like a noise gate, you hit the drum and it sort of floats up and then lands back down again, but without making any noise. I used it on the Susie tour and the last Lorena tour as well. All my techs would get loads of cotton wool buds and chuck them in. Then you've got to see how many, so you've got to take the head off, think that's too many. Or that's not enough, take the head off, put more in. It's quite a cool thing, but it's like just nature's natural noise gate, you know, it's kind of cool. And yeah, the finish on this one, not too bad. They get a little bit funky in places like that. But again, yeah, I don't care. I don't care. This has been loved, it's been played, it's got character. It's been sat in someone's attic for many years in a case or a soft case. Look, more marking there, look. Yep, again, I don't care. And the wrap's a bit funky here, peeling away. Again, nothing too bad. I could always get Tristan at Dramatic just to rope it and rein it back in, look. But yeah, no, it's fine. And it doesn't weigh too much either. The DW stuff, I love it. It's quite heavy, as it should be, because it's quality. But yeah, and there's our badge. Star, finest quality. You know, and I know some of you watching this might think, oh my God, you're so weird, loving the fact of the colour and everything about this thing, the tactile thing, and also just staring at it. But I'm sorry, it's a thing for me. I must have a problem. Maybe I've got to get to the doctors. But yeah, I just love it. I think it's a great looking drum kit. The bass drum's cool. That's in a case just hanging out in the hallway, so that's fine. I'm not getting that in. But yeah, if you've got a drum kit or cymbal or something you like to play, and every time you look at it, it just makes you, or even if it's something that you collect and you've just put up in the house or the garage or your drum room or man cave, what we call these things, you know, then let me know in the comments below. If you've got one of these kits, let me know, because my friend Eddie John had one from Bristol. He had a yellow one, I think, yellow satin flame. And if anyone's got the snare drum that's in this colour, I would buy it from you. I would. I need to see how good the snare drums were, because famously the Pearl, the Yamahas, and some of the early Tama snares weren't particularly very good. The toms are okay in the bass drum, as this would testify, but the snares weren't very good. But just being, you know, like a collector, to be kind of completist, it would be nice to have a snare to go with it. I'm thinking it'd be probably a 14x5 or something, but that would be nice. Doesn't have to be the same period, but yeah, if so, that would be great. If anyone, you know, not too silly money, you know. But yeah, I would be interested. And also let me know if there's something that you really love that you can't wait to play or you can't wait to look at, or when you know, you see it, it just, do you know what? I'm the same with the Speed King pedal. What's that about? The minute I see a Speed King pedal, I just think of when I wanted a Speed King when I was a kid, and I finally bought one and realised that they weren't that great after all, but it was still a great pedal. And I've got one, I've got a little Ludwig bass drum pedal. I got a Ghost and a Speedmaster and a Speed King. Just in my bedroom, actually, there's like a little thing. I've got stuff all over. There's even stuff in the kitchen. I've got stuff all over the place, drum stuff. That too, I see it speaking, it just makes me think of everything to do with the 60s and Ringo and Buddy Rich and Joe Morello, and, you know, my early days of drumming, always like fantasizing over a blimmin', oh, that's the wind. Whoa, yeah, crazy. Fantasizing over owning a Speed King pedal, and now I've got like a 50s, late 50s one. My dad bought me one in the 80s, which I eventually sold, which I wish I'd kept now. That was a great little pedal, and I had the box and everything. It was cool, but now I've, as I say, I've managed to pick up a WFL one, which probably 58, 59, is it, for you Ludwig anoraks out there? I should know, because I've got the Ludwig book by Robin Cook as well, so I could look it up. But yeah, so if there's anything that you love and it really makes you want to play, or just like sitting there listening to music, looking at it without even playing it, because it's just got something special about it, because that's this. Sometimes, like this afternoon, I'm going to sit and put on more cold train, put these over there and stare at them. Maybe I do need help after all. But, you know, it's, as I say, it's the romanticism of the drums, of the colour, of everything, how, you know, how that works. I know people who are into cars. I'm not really into cars, but friends of mine are, and they talk to me about the same thing, and the smell of the car. You know, they'll even go up to the fascia and smell it, because it's got to be the right smell of a Triumph Herald from 65 or something, you know. And I get it. I totally get it. You know, whether it's model aeroplanes, whatever your thing is, you know, collecting stamps, whatever it is. If there's a page you like to open or something you like to look at, and man, I tell you, with all the stuff going on in the world today, if this gives me joy, then so be it, you know, and likewise with you guys. So please keep watching and liking and subscribing, as I say, but please leave a comment down below. If you think I'm crazy, that's fine too. You know, it's a free world. I'm not hurting anybody by loving this drum kit. It's all good. And yeah, as I say, leave some comments below and I'll be happy to get back to you and see what sort of stuff. Maybe leave some pictures, you know, on my Instagram of or whatever, of gear that you've got that you think's really cool, and we could share it and so on. So anyway, have a groovy day, and I'm getting messaged by Gary Astridge. That's the guy I'm actually, that's Ringo's Beatle drum kit curator. He just messaged me on, and this is his book. And of course, we did some clinics last year, some Ringo style clinics. And this is his book, Beats and Threads, which is brilliant, which I've pulled out and put on my coffee table because it is just unbelievable. It's got great pictures and it's got all of Ringo's drum kits in here. I'm not going to hold it up and drop it or do anything silly because it's such a beautiful book. But it has got like super classic drum kit, and then it'll have pictures of the kit close up like this, even down to the wear on the rims there and stuff. Anyway, great book. He just messaged me, so I'll get back to him. And also on my coffee table, and I've got to look after this book. He signed it for me as well. Also on the coffee table is the book that comes with a Sign of the Times deluxe box set, which is amazing. Which has got all the pictures of lyrics from the album in his Prince's handwriting, and also some of the Memorex boxes of tapes and stuff like that as well as some cool pictures. There he is, bless him. And the other one is the other deluxe box set, one of the other ones I've got, which is the Revolver one, the Beatles one. Which has obviously got loads of spec and talk about the sessions of Revolver, which I think is probably one of the finest albums ever made. And it's certainly my favourite Beatle album ever made. Right, I've said my piece. Right, I'm going to get back to Gary Astridge because I think I've forgotten to contact him. And we might even be on a FaceTime right now. So thanks for tuning in. As I say, please comment about this stuff. I think this is important. Playing the drums is important. Loving the instrument is important, you know. And this is some drum love here. And if you want to go and play some Coltrane, I've also got some Love Supreme down there somewhere, but should have got that out, shouldn't I? That's for another day. Take care, YouTube land. Thanks for watching, and I shall see you soon.